Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Dominick Comer.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
We're good.
We're doing good. So what exactly do you do?
Well, I'm first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father. I have 3 boys. I'm a real estate agent. I own Keller Realty Living in Brighton. I own Tribe Title Company in Brighton as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, is this what you planned on doing when you grew up, or what was your plan?
You know, that's a great question. My plan was to get wealthy from a young age.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly how. I didn't necessarily care how. I was always a big dreamer.
Yeah.
If it was up to my family, which at one point it was, I was going to get through school and go work for Ford Motor Company, and that's what we did. That's what my family did. So, so I did that. I
Nice.
graduated high school and became a line worker in the plant, just like I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Until I looked around one day and just decided that it just wasn't for me and it wasn't going to help me accomplish my goals.
Yeah. What other kind of things did you try to make money?
So growing up, I pushed a lawnmower around the trailer park that I grew up in.
Nice.
And while I was doing that, I think that it kind of expanded me to think. I was watching all the guys riding the cool big fast mowers,
Yeah.
cutting all of the common areas, and I go, well, I think that I want to own a landscaping company when I get older, because that'll help me,
Yeah. Get
build
more
wealth.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Right. I can be a business owner versus going and working at Ford. So that was always a thing for me.
How did you get into real estate? What kind of was the turning point for you? And you're like, okay, I'm going to jump into this.
Yeah. So I ended up taking the buyout from Ford Motor Company in 2008, and I had 6 years in the business there. I took that buyout and believe it or not, I built a landscaping company.
Nice.
Okay.
I like it.
And I went through the rough times and the recession and all of that. And then I decided that mowing lawns wasn't going to help me accomplish my goals.
Yeah.
I liked the sales aspect of building that business, but I didn't necessarily like being the weed whipper and the lawnmower and the blower,
Right.
and the guy that was knocking on doors for payments.
Yeah.
So I sold off my company after a few years, and I guess I'm gonna have to back up for a second. What got me into real estate was when I worked at Ford Motor Company. I bought my first house, and my first real estate agent, Christy Ambrose, who's still around today, she told me that I would be good at selling real estate. So she planted a seed with me when I worked at Ford, and I said, Christy, you're crazy. Number one, I'm too young. I have too many tattoos, and that I'm not going to go work commission only. I thought that was insane.
Yeah.
But she believed in me. She thought that I could actually do it. She believed in me before I believed in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that seed was something that stuck with me for 10 years.
Wow.
So between Ford, owning the landscaping company, selling that, having a couple of sales jobs in between, real estate always stuck in the back of my head as something that I should give
it a
try
try
out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you first jumped into real estate, did you jump in all in, or did you go like part-time here and part-time with another job?
Oh, no. I jumped in head
Yeah.
first. I burned all the bridges behind me and knew that if this is something that I was going to do, there was going to be no chance of failure. I was going for it.
Okay. So
That's
kind of
awesome.
tell us how you got to where you are now.
Well, I knew enough that if I wanted to build wealth, that most of the wealthy people in the world had some sort of beginning in real estate, whether it was with a real estate license or if that was with their first real estate investment. So when I jumped in, I remember walking into the doors of KW Brighton in 2013, and one of our agents who's still with me today was standing outside, and he said, "Well, why are you here, kid?" And I said, "I'm here to be a millionaire real estate agent." And I was reading the book at that time,
Yeah.
Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book.
Yep.
And he kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah, right." But I went into work every single day. Like I said, I burned all the bridges behind me. I knew that in order to succeed at this, I had to come in and do it at a high level, and I needed to treat it like a business because that's what it was. So I came into work every day. I went to my team leader at the very beginning and I said, "All right, what do I have to do to be successful?" And he said, "Meet me at 9 a.m. every morning for script practice, and then go get on the phones until you have business to do, because until then you have nothing else to do." So I followed those simple steps. I practiced my scripts of what I was going to say on the phone, calling people, and I made anywhere between 100 and 300 phone calls every day.
Wow.
And I got to go home to my beautiful wife every day to the question, and the question was, "Anything yet?"
Yep.
So for 6 months that went on.
Wow.
Actually, on month 5, I was starting to feel a little bit defeated. I was making a lot of phone calls every day. I was having a lot of rejection happen. I had a stack of 3x5 cards that I was writing names and phone numbers and notes on of people who told me that they were going to be buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So I knew that I was building a big pipeline, but I still got to go home to anything yet every single day.
Huh.
And finally, at about 5.5 months in, my wife said, "Hey, listen, we haven't had a paycheck. You haven't had a paycheck in 5.5 months. This is getting a little bit tough around here. Why don't you just go get a job? And just, who cares if it's $10 an hour? It'll be more than nothing." And I was hurting. Like at that point, that hurt.
Yeah.
She didn't do it to hurt me, but she
Yeah.
did it because
Right.
we needed to pay some bills. So I went across the street from our house. On the corner, there's an oil change place. And I went to the owner of it and I said, "Hey, you have a hiring sign out there. I know my way around a toolbox. In fact, I've never been here because I changed my own oil." I said, would you give me a job? I'm trying to pursue a career in real estate, but I need to do something in the interim." And he said, sorry, man. I'm not going to give you a job. I'm not trying to hire somebody who wants to pursue a career in real estate. I want to hire somebody who wants to change oil."
Yeah.
And it was a blessing, because I went back to the office the next day and I called a Zillow Make Me Move.
Huh.
And she was overpriced, of course, back when we used to have those. And she let me have an appointment, and that was my first appointment. She ended up letting me list her house. I sold it, and I helped her buy another property after that.
Nice.
So it was my first 2 transactions that happened right at the 6-month mark of becoming a real estate agent.
Wow.
Fast forward, I just kept on making those calls. I became runner-up rookie of the year that year with just about $3 million in sales. And within 4 years, I was able to build up and partner with the right people to build up a $49 million real estate business.
Huh.
And on year 5, I got to buy the company.
Nice. That's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. How did you get through the title company? Where'd that come into place? How did that go?
So the owner the previous owner of Keller Williams Realty Living also owned Livingston Title Agency.
Got it.
And it's a sad story. So I had a conversation with Rick, who was the previous owner. God, what was it? It was mid 2017, and I had set a goal to buy the brokerage within 5 years with my coach. And my coach prompted me to go talk to Rick and tell him that that was my goal, to buy the company within 5 years. And at that time, Rick said, well, I think that's a great idea, Dominick. And do you know how old I'm going to be in 5 years? And I said, no. And he told me that he would be 70 years old and that he would be ready to retire. And that he would love for me to take over the company and continue building on his legacy. So that was great. But 5 months later, I got a phone call from Rick, and he told me that he was sick, and he ended up coming down or getting pancreatic cancer, and told me that he'd never stopped thinking about me taking over the company, the business, and that he wanted me to go through the process of buying it, even though he was going to make it through this. He just needed to get his ducks in a row. And I looked at him and I said, wow, Rick, I mean, this is a 5-year goal for a reason. I can't afford it today. And he said, don't tell me you can't afford it. Go home to your wife and your family and talk about it and pray about it and come back and tell me how we're going to do this deal. And God willing, it happened, right?
Yeah.
We were able to make that happen. And within the transaction, towards the end of the transaction, after Rick had passed away, during the transaction, his nephew, who was my business partner actually with the title company, he said, hey, Dominick, we have this title company too, and it's worth nothing without you. Will you buy that too? And I said, wow, I mean, I don't even use this title company. We're gonna have to do a lot of work to get it good again. I have to be a majority partner, and that you have to give me the opportunity to rebuild this thing. And he said, deal. And we closed on both businesses the same day, which was my 5-year anniversary of becoming a real estate agent.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
It was October 31st.
Nice. That's awesome. Good for you.
I heard you mention you had a coach, a real estate coach.
Oh, yeah.
Did they give you any advice that has kind of just stuck with you throughout the years?
Oh, lots of advice. The best advice that my coach at that, it was my coach, Danny Thompson, back then. He was my real estate coach. And the best advice that he ever gave me was that he wouldn't talk to me about my numbers or my accountability until I had put together a vision for my life in 5 years. And it honestly took me 3 weeks to do that, because it's dreaming bigger than you've ever imagined.
Yeah.
And he wanted to build a business plan with me for my business to achieve something that I couldn't dream of. And without that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's say you had to start all over today. How would you spend your first $1,000?
I was talking with my wife about that, and her and I both agree that if I was to start it over, I don't think I would do anything different. I didn't have $1,000 when I started, so I would use that money towards, the phone numbers that I would have to buy to do it again. But I built my business on a strong foundation, learning how to lead generate and pick up the phone to where I could do that anywhere in the world if I had to start over again. And it was essentially free to get started.
Yeah.
I've never built any of my businesses on marketing. It's always been on picking up the phone, having conversations with people, and adding value to them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, I take that back. I couldn't have afforded a coach at the very beginning. I definitely would start using that money towards coach or mentor or something, just to help hold me accountable.
Yeah, that definitely helps, especially like the one you had that just said, hey, here's what you're going to do. Here's your plan. Here's what you're doing. Go do it.
Yeah.
Show up every day.
Yeah. Right.
So that's awesome. So you kind of mentioned a book earlier, but what would be one book you could recommend to anyone in the business?
I would definitely, I think it's the greatest book in the world. And I think that if there are no other books that in the world for anything in life, I would just go to the Bible.
Perfect.
If it was a real estate book, it would be Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah, that one's a good one too. That's awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can call me. My cell phone number is 248-787-9219, or they can email me, and that's Dominick, DOMINICK @kw.com.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
It might be there.
might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Find it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's
Red.
blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah. I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review if they listen to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5
5-star
stars,
review.
guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take
But-
4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.
Yeah.